Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday if you're listening to this on a Sunday. I hope everyone is well. You have to be doing well at this point because today, at least in certain parts of the world, we have done daylight savings and the days are getting longer. Spring is approaching. We are in March. Things are looking up for the most part. By the way, if you're wondering where Theo is, he is beside me sleeping right now. We will have a Theo spotlight. And if anyone is new here, I'm speaking about my 9-week-old Italian Greyhound that I just recently got. He is beautiful, amazing, perfect. But the past few weeks have been challenging for sure. But in the best way, it's really made me grow as a person. And I feel like the past few weeks, we've been talking on the Soulful Sunday episodes about action and getting out of your own way and not listening to the stories that are trying to keep you stuck or trying to negotiate yourself out of doing the actions that you know you need to take to get the end result, right? You go to the gym or become a new version of you or drop this bad habit or go for your dreams, things of that nature. I feel like that's just been the theme for a lot of us. I feel like it's March, spring is approaching. That's kind of what we do. We awaken, we change up our routine. We want to become the best versions of ourselves. And I have been wanting to make this episode for a while now. There's so many questions that I get asked around the topic of, how do I actually take that action? And how do I stop being that dreamer and instead really actualize my dream life? Like, how do I do it? What is your advice? What is your tips? And I feel like I have a lot of things to say on this topic. And so I feel like I want today's Soulful Sunday Reset to be more so my advice and talking about really moving from somebody who is that dreamer and doesn't take action to actually actualizing and just becoming that version of you that you've been wanting. And I just want this to be motivation, essentially. And I think this is a good topic to integrate within our Soulful Sunday episodes because I think this will really get your mind right for the week. Like, I really think this could be good motivation. And I am going to actually give you guys prompt for you to really think and journal on it. But for the most part, I kind of want to do more of a specific topic, which is moving from being that dreamer to living your dream life. So I actually want to start off with a quote from Pinterest because it's going to get you. And it even got me, okay? Dreams are fun when they are distant. The imagination loves to play with possibilities when there is no risk of failure. But when you find yourself on the verge of action, you pause. You can feel the uncertainty of what lies ahead. Thoughts swirl, maybe this isn't right for me. Failure is possible now. In that moment, in that short pause that arises when you stand face to face with your dream, is the entirety of life. What you do in that pause is the crucible that forges you, which basically just means a very significant trial or test. It is the dividing line between being the type of person who thinks about it or the type of person who goes for it. When I really think about it, I want that moment to be my legacy. Not that I won or lost, not that I looked good or looked like a fool, but that when I had something I really wanted to do, I went for it. And so when we are talking about actualizing our dreams or actualizing goals, whether that is you want to become more of a gym girl, that's like the era that I'm in, is getting back into the gym and like really taking, ownership and more care around my health and my fitness, or maybe you want to become a YouTuber, podcaster, or you want to start your own business, or you want to, go back to school to do something, whatever it is. Every single one of those things will require you to take the action. It will require you to be the person who no longer thinks, but does. And the reason why I'm going to start with that is because I really do think that we love as humans to dance around the fact that there is action that will be required of us. There will be some sort of sacrifice. There will be some sort of facing a fear. There'll be some sort of uncomfortable feeling. There will be something we have to do. And it's just really getting real with yourself. Are you somebody who is the thinker, is the dreamer, is the watcher? And you have to get real with yourself and say, listen, I am never going to actualize anything in my life when I am only doing that. And so my first piece of advice when it comes to actualizing anything in your life is going to be to stop waiting for you to feel ready or to be ready, because you become ready by doing. You can call yourself a podcaster when you actually get on the mic. You can call yourself a YouTuber when you're actually recording your episodes. You can say that you're a gym girl when you actually step foot in a gym. And I have found that what I used to do before I actualized a lot of my goals in my dream life was I would be the forever student. So whether it was health and fitness, or it was business goals, or if it was even relational things like socializing and relationships, whatever it was, I would be somebody who would watch all the content and read all the content and get a bunch of courses and just listen to other people do it and watch other people do it. I would tell myself that I needed to know more information. And the thing about self-development and changing your life and things like that, like there's a lot of times where we will get wrapped up in this forever student identity without even realizing it sometimes, where we're just like constantly like seeking more information and getting another book and this, that, because there's so much content and knowledge and wisdom online or even in real life, things like that. But you have to see where that's actually keeping you stuck. And for a lot of us who are in the self-development space and want to change our lives and are interested in hitting goals, we do tend to fall into consuming way more than we need to. You don't need to know everything before you start. You quite frankly can't. Like you're going to learn on your journey that there's going to be tweaks that you have to make, and there's going to be ways that you're going to do it that's different than the other people. But also just being real with yourself and being like, okay, I am getting the feeling of hitting a goal by watching someone else do it, but I'm not actually doing it. And there was definitely a time in my life when it came to even starting my podcast and becoming a YouTuber where I realized, you know what? I have enough knowledge and I can start with what I know. And so if you are in the identity of that forever student and you're constantly seeking out more information and this, that, what you need to do is start with what you know. And this is difficult for people, a lot of us, because we want to know everything and we want to know like every answer or all the advice, or even at the gym, right? We want to have the perfect routine, or we want to know every single thing before we start. You don't need to know every single thing. You just need to know one step, right? One thing, and then you expand on that. Even when it comes to content, if you want to be a content creator, you typically start with like one niche or one topic or one thing that you're good at or you know about or a story that you have, and then you basically put in those reps until you expand and you grow or you evolve or you kind of stay in that niche, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're starting in one particular place. And a really good journal prompt that I think can be helpful if you find yourself being that person that's always consuming, thinking that you need another course or you need to buy a new book or learn something new before you take that action, then this prompt will be for you. Where in your life do you identify as a forever student rather than someone who takes action? So this could be buying multiple courses online, but never actually becoming the thing that you learned. Maybe you wanted to be a coach, or you wanted to start social media. You took a social media course, or maybe you invested in a workout app, or you bought a meal plan, or you created one, or whatever it is, but you still have not taken that action on that. Or even when you save workouts or like food ideas, things like that online, but you never take that action, I would highly suggest to take inventory of some of those behaviors that you might be doing and really hone in on that and use maybe this week to come to say, you know what, I'm going to take one small action that's going to actually lead me into actualizing the things that I have been consuming, the things that I've been learning, the things that I've been saying that I want to do. Now, another thing that's been huge for me is looking up to people who have what I want, who are successful, who have good mindsets, and who are in this type of world. And now on one hand, you don't want to only just watch and consume and never take action, but you should really be almost taking action alongside of the person that you are looking up to. And I can give you an example. Back in the day, when I was bartending and serving, I would listen to the Skinny Confidential podcast. That was like the first podcast that I ever listened to. They would talk a lot about health and wellness and beauty, and they would be interviewing people who are really successful and self-development, all that kind of stuff. They were like the pioneers of the podcasting space. And Lauren in particular really inspired me and motivated me with her blog. She used to have a blog called Skinny Confidential, and she would post all of her wellness tips and like beauty tips and things like that. And then of course they had the podcast, and I was super into health and wellness, and I was always that person that was like sharing on Instagram, like recipes at the time, or what I was doing for health and fitness, because I was really into that, and even books I was reading, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, I should create a blog. At the time, the Glow Up Secrets was actually a website that I would have, and I would post when I would go to the gym and the workouts that I was doing, and then all of like my recipes and things like that. But I was like building and researching and taking that action alongside of watching other people do it. And I kind of just cycled through that. Like I would have these people who were taking that action and really inspiring me, and I would go take similar actions. And you know, the actions that you're currently taking right now are not the actions that the dream version of you would be taking. So you need to really think about like, what are the actions that the dream version of me would be taking? And a lot of the times it's easy to help yourself see that when you are watching other people, right? I even think about when I was in college, I was so into fitness. Like I was in the gym 6-7 days out of the week. I was at the gym like hours upon hours. Like I was tracking my food. I was doing like everything, programming my workouts, this, that. Like you would have assumed that I went to school to become like a personal trainer or like a nutritionist without even going at that time. Down the line, I ended up actually going to school for things in the wellness space, and I became a PT, but I had already known so much of that stuff based off of all the things that I learned, but I also took that action. So every day I would watch fitness YouTubers. Back in the day, it was like Nikki Blacketer, Heidi Summers, it was Robin Gallant, it was Christian Guzman, like all of these fitness people. But I would use that as motivation every single day, a part of my routine. And then I would go to the gym. I would actually take that action. I would eat well, and I would use those people as driving forces. And it's important to also do this because if you want more for yourself, you're gonna need to see it reflected. You're gonna need to see that it's possible. And you typically do that by maybe watching people online or listening to people's stories about how they made it from rock bottom to living their dream life, and the mindset shifts that they had to go through, and you know, how they look at the world and what they do with their time and their actions. So here's another prompt that you can journal on. If you were already living your dream life, what habits would you have? So for me, right now, my quote unquote dream life looks like the version of me who is back in the gym and really killing it in the gym, and weightlifting, and, you know, sleeping correctly, and, you know, all the amazing things that come along with living a healthy lifestyle. So one of my daily habits would be having the gym be a very big priority in my life. Or let's say you wanted to be a YouTuber. And this is like, I think back to when I became a YouTuber, I had to put YouTube on my priority list. My daily habit was always something to do with YouTube. It was recording, it was editing, it was uploading. My focus was on that thing. It wasn't just randomly, or sometimes I was thinking about doing a YouTube video or whatever. It was a daily habit of having my focus on that thing that I really wanted, because a YouTuber does those things every single day in some sense of the form. Like if you were a fly on a wall in my apartment, you would constantly see me every single day thinking about YouTube or an idea that I'm having, or I'm editing a video, or I'm recording something. Like that is literally a daily habit. Like every day, typically every single day, I have something that I am doing that revolves around YouTube and or my podcast. And the same thing goes with if you think about a really fit, or just somebody who just lives a health and wellness lifestyle, or go to the gym a lot, like those gym girlies that you always look at on TikTok. Every day, for the most part, every day, their priority is going to the gym. Their priority is making sure that they're eating correctly so that they can gain weight or gain muscle or lose fat or whatever the case is for them. And when you're thinking about the YouTuber, the podcaster, or the wellness girl, or the business person, all of these people do not sit and scroll and that's all they do. And I'm not saying that you can never get motivation or inspiration on Pinterest or YouTube, this, that, like going back to the vlogs, like that's super motivating. But at the end of the day, these are the people who take action. It's one thing in common down the line, no matter what we're talking about, is the fact that every single one of these people take the actual action. There's no way to slice it. There's no way to dice it. There's no way to go around it. You can keep trying to go around it, but at the end of the day, you got to take that action. Now, this brings me to another piece of advice thinking back to what I needed to do in order to get to where I'm at right now, full-time content creation, I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing YouTube, I'm living my dream life in many aspects, just like where I'm living, my condo, my life. I came out with a book and this, that. Not to say that I'm the most successful, I got the most money, this, that. No, we are constantly up leveling. But in order for me to get to where I was at right now, I had to be willing to sacrifice. And I think a lot of people don't want to hear it. But the truth of the matter is, when you first start something, whether you are working towards doing something online, being a YouTuber, starting a new business, or even like going to school, studying for something new, or going to the gym or whatever, there is going to be a piece of sacrificing your free time that you could use doing nothing. And you have to start looking at the thing that you want to cultivate and the goal you want to hit as basically your second job, okay? So you got to get serious with what it is that you want in your life. Like when I think back to when I was bartending and on those days where it was dead, I would be researching and posting on my blog and doing whatever I did. I used every ounce of my free time essentially to work on this thing as if it was my job, even though I wasn't getting paid for it. And that was because I loved it and I was passionate about it, but also I knew the name of the game very early on. Like you're not always going to make money right then and there, or you're not going to always see those gains when you go into the gym right when you start. But it's important that you look at this as something very important and valuable and like a second job. And you know what? Yes, I'm going to have to sacrifice some time right now, but it is going to be worth it. And I think just reminding yourself of that on the journey of creating your dream life is very important, because you will get to a point where sometimes you're like, when are the results going to come? Or like, you're getting a little impatient. Like you want to see the progress. You want to see the money come in. You want to see your success. You want to, be that person. But you just have to remind yourself, these things are all going to come to you if you just keep going. And this doesn't mean that you don't change your method. It doesn't mean that you don't pivot in a way. It doesn't mean that you don't try new things. But what it does mean is that you don't give up. And when you start identifying as somebody who takes their business seriously, their goals seriously, the habits that one would have depending on your goal, when you start taking those things seriously, you are going to co-create with the universe or God. You are going to create that momentum. You are going to see things come into your reality. You're going to see growth. You have to. So just understand, if you're not seeing any sort of growth or it's taking a while, that's just the name of the game, okay? That is just the name of the game. And also, it feels sometimes a little uncomfortable to give up some of your free time when you are working towards something. But you know what? It is going to be so worth it to have your dream life that you should honestly not want anything else. Like, what is the point on you wasting your time and your hours in your day to do nothing when you could be working towards that version of you that you know you want to be? Now, another prompt that you can journal on is, identify one wasted hour of your day and how can you use it to move towards your dream life. And this is the thing, coming back to sacrifice and time. I feel like a lot of people always say, I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to go to the gym. I don't have enough time to start the second business and this, that. And I understand that everyone has different times like to do things, right? Like you're going to have a unique set of hours in the day that you can utilize depending on how you're feeling and depending on how many jobs you have and this, that. But there is at least 1 hour that you can utilize in your life that you are not right now towards doing one thing towards your dream life or that habit. Now, a lot of the times we get so tied down with doing things perfectly. And so we're like, well, I can't do it perfectly and I don't have, 5 hours to do that. So I'm not going to do it at all. When really it actually only takes you doing that baby step, maybe even 30 minutes, and you will see the growth that you could make with anything in your life if you just do it like that and you do it small. So kind of getting out of that perfectionist mindset and being like, you know what, I'm just going to start and I'm going to start messy. It's fine. But finding at least 1 hour of your day. And, we could start with the phone. Listen, how many hours in a day have you actually spent on your phone? And I can tell you, it probably is more than an hour. You sit and you watch 2 YouTube videos and then you never take action. Well, there's 2 YouTube videos right there that have wasted essentially an hour of your time because you also didn't take any action from that thing, but also you could have been using that to do something else. And it's not about always shaming yourself and being like, I have to be super strict and every single hour needs to be utilized correctly. But there are so many pockets of time. Get creative. I think back when, again, I was bartending. Now this is like fast forward to 2020. 20-ish year, not the blog years, but when I was on TikTok, and I had this goal for myself to post 3 times a day on TikTok, but I also had to work 2 jobs, and I would be serving in the afternoons, and that's typically when I would post like early evening and then at night. But of course at night, that's when things got really busy. But of course there's some times where you can go into the back and maybe you can have like a bite of food, or you talk to your friends and you talk shit and you're this, that, like you're just screwing around a little bit. Even the most efficient workers, I feel like, do that. And like I was busting my ass when I was working, but there was definitely a minute I had to go to the washroom if I needed to, or this, that. And so what I would do is I would batch film my content, and I would make sure all the captions, all the like hashtags, everything was set and ready to go in my drafts. And I would set an alarm on my phone. I would have my phone on me, and I would like have it like vibrating or something. And I would go back into the back, and I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to the washroom for a second. And I would go and I post my video, and it took damn near 2 seconds to do that. And I would come back out. Like I did those things. I found pockets of time where I could work on my business, or, there'd be days where I would work 12-hour shifts. So I would get into work at like 11 or 12. I would do like a noon shift, let's say, that day. And I would have to drive to work. So that's like another like 30-ish, 45 minutes. And of course I need to do my morning routine, this, that. But in the morning, I would take maybe an hour or 2, and I would work on a YouTube video, or I would work on batch filming, or I would work on setting things up. So that way, either let's say I had those TikToks ready to go, or I just knew when I got home, I was going to be super tired and I can't do it. So I'm going to try and utilize my time that way. So you just have to be a little bit sacrificial. You really do. Even when it comes to the gym, like, if you find you're tired every single day after work, well, can you wake up 30 minutes earlier to go to the gym, or do an at-home workout, or do something like, close to home? You don't have to go to the gym if it's going to be too much, but you just have to see how you are getting in your way a lot of the times. And you have to also see how the current habits that you have are taking you away from doing the things that you need to do. When you're sitting and scrolling on your phone for 2 hours before you go to sleep, I get it. I get the decompression sometimes, but sometimes, at least for me, that could keep me up at night, right? Like it just scrolling on TikTok for too long, or just being on my phone. And then in the morning, no wonder I'm tired. No wonder I can't wake up at 6 a.m. to go do a morning routine, or go to the gym 30 minutes early. So you got to really see where you are wasting some of your time, your precious time, and try to allot it to those habits that you need to take. And this brings me to another prompt, and it says, what's one imperfect action you can take this week that will move you forward? So thinking about all of the excuses that you're always telling yourself, I can't start this week because of this, or I'll start on Monday, or I didn't do well at the gym. I don't have enough energy to go to the gym to do my leg day, so I'll just push it off until Friday. And then Friday comes and you still don't feel good enough and you don't do it, Just thinking about the excuses that you make, and try once this week to take one small piece of action that will bring you to that version of you that you want to be, but you need to be. You are meant to be that person. You keep trying. And I think what helps for sure is using that motivation and people around you that are doing these things, whether you're listening to a podcast like this, or for me right now, I am down bad in those vloggers that are going to the gym and lifting weights, because that just reminds me, yep, this is what I want to be doing when I'm eating my food and I'm watching YouTube. I am watching those people. I am not really watching those mindless commentary things right now. Like I love that stuff, but that's not going to get me where I need to go right now. And I have a focus. And so I'm going to need my environment to reflect my desires, essentially. It's going to be hard for you to take that action when you're not consuming that content that might be inspiring to you, but also you might not be having those conversations, or you're not doing those habits. And again, there's a fine line. We're bringing it right back to the most important thing about everything, being the dreamer to the person who lives their dream life, is action. So what I tell myself, you're allowed to watch the YouTubers, you're allowed to listen to the podcast, you're allowed to read the book, but what you're going to do after that is you're going to take some form of action. And if you don't, then we are not going to do it, okay? We're not going to keep watching these YouTubers, we're not going to keep scrolling on Pinterest, we're not going to keep talking about it to our friends about how we want to do this thing and that thing. We're going to do it, okay? You want to be a woman or a man or whoever you identify as, a woman of your word. Let's not break promises. Let's not keep promising ourselves things that we do not do. And what you're really doing is you're showing parts of you that you don't have a lot of integrity. You don't have a lot of respect for yourself. You don't really care about showing up for yourself. And I understand that it's hard to not take action sometimes, but I hope that you look at yourself as somebody who deserves more than what you might be doing right now. The habits that are not really serving you, the scrolling and the consuming. You don't deserve to be somebody who is constantly consuming, okay? You deserve to be the creator. You deserve to go out and live life the same way you watch people all day go out and live their lives. If you watch somebody who's romanticizing their lives and they're living like cool condos and whatever, health and fitness, I don't know. I watch a lot of people who do a lot of things, and that's great. But you know what? I deserve to live that life as well. So let me go and take that action so that I can become that person as well. Like, I don't like the idea of watching myself, like, my higher self watching myself like consume Pinterest all day, but also not ever becoming that Pinterest girl. Like, you should be that Pinterest girl. You should be that Pinterest guy. You should be that person who has that life. So go and get it. It's not fair that you're watching somebody else live that dream life. I'm so sorry. It's not. You should be on that journey with that person. And this is what I love about my podcast. At least I hope that this is what you guys are doing. And even with my vlogs, is like, I want us to be doing this week after week together. Okay. I know we're all on separate journeys. And I also know that a lot of you guys look up to me in a way, and you're taking my advice, and that's amazing. But I want us to be doing it together. I don't want you to be sitting here and constantly week after week just listening to my podcast, which I love. And I understand what it feels like to listen to a podcast that gets your mind right. But this is kind of why I even started the Soulful Sundays, is because I want you to take that action. I want you to take an hour out of your Sunday or whatever day you are going to be doing this. And I want you to sit down and I want you to think about your own life, the ways you're getting stuck, the ways you're sleeping on yourself, and what action are you going to take? I want you to take that action, and I want you to do it alongside of me, because that's what I'm doing. The reason why I can keep coming on this podcast and giving you some sound advice. I'm not perfect, but some good advice, and you see me growing and evolving. It's because I'm first and foremost taking that action. I'm first and foremost putting the pen to paper. I'm first and foremost getting out of my own way and calling myself out and saying, you know what, Alicia, you keep saying this, but you're not doing it. Keep talking about it, but you're not doing it. You keep scrolling, but you're not. No. Okay. At the end of the day, we take action, and we take action together. Let's get up and let's actually live life. Let's actually participate and co-create. We're not going to sit by the sidelines and, oh, you can do it over here. No. I know sometimes it's easier to watch somebody do it because it creates a lot of fear and uncomfortability and I don't know and this, that, but messy action. You do not need to know the entirety of something before you start. It's literally impossible. Anyways, it's a fallacy. It doesn't even make sense. It's not the way that life works, so you don't have to worry about knowing everything. You just start with those baby steps. And another Pinterest quote that I really loved says, "A bad idea written down is far better and far more useful to you than a blank sheet of paper and a mythical piece of brilliance that has been stuck in your head out of fear of failure. Go ahead and fail, then make it better." And my friend and I, Joey, we talk about this all the time. Like, this is her philosophy of life, and I think the same way too. If you're going to fail fast, fail hard, fail quick, okay? And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we don't take action, we're afraid, well, what if I fail, or what if it doesn't work out, or what if I get rejected, or what if this isn't... Okay, so how about we do that quickly so we know, and then we can actually get to where we need to go, okay? Instead of procrastinating and pushing it off, and I'm going to keep pushing it off because I'm afraid of the outcome. I'm afraid. But the thing is, in life, there's going to be failures. That's just what it is. But you want to look at failures as something that is good information and brings you exactly to where you want to be. That's really how I look at everything now. If something doesn't work out, and this could be even going to relationships, right? Okay, that date didn't work out, that relationship didn't work out, or things didn't, whatever. Instead of looking at it as, oh, it's a failure and I didn't learn anything and this sucks and I'm like, woe is me. No, failure is seriously just information on what you need to adjust, okay? So what I want you to start identifying as in your life, and in particular to the thing that you're trying to accomplish, is no longer a dreamer, but a doer. And I have to remind myself of this as well, especially when I am trying to go into a new habit or identity, bringing it back to being a gym girl again. I'm always reminding myself the most important thing to do is to take the action, is to take the step. And also to remind yourself, and I do this as well, remind yourself of the version of you or the person that you look up to. Are they a dreamer or are they a doer? And again, the gym girl, she's a doer. The YouTuber, a doer. The business owner, a doer. Somebody who has a thriving social life, a doer. They're not a dreamer. They do not sit here and talk about it and think about it and ruminate on it. And the way that they all started was not the way that you see them experience life right now, right? So you might see me, oh my gosh, successful. She knows what she's talking about. And, she's confident on camera. We got the plaque from the other channel. Mind you, if you're new here and you're wondering why I have a plaque, but I don't have 100,000 subscribers yet on the podcast channel. It's because I have a second one, or my main one. But at first, I didn't have this plaque. I didn't have that book. I didn't have the audience. I didn't have all of these things. And you just have to remind yourself of that, okay? And, the gym girl that you look up to, or the gym girl that I look up to, I know her body never looked like that at the beginning, or her discipline never was that strong at the beginning. Like, she had to work up to that. Or the social life that I see people have, those great friendships and all of the cool things that they can have. It takes time to build friendships and relationships. It really does. But you know what? There's something freeing about understanding that you don't need to know all of it. You don't need to be the person who has all the information or does the most insane workout or have the most confidence to get on camera to start. You don't. You actually don't. You just need to take a small little step. You need to reach out to one person, not the entirety of the city, in order to have a thriving life. I don't need to do the most insane workout at the gym to start building muscle. All I need to do is start identifying as a doer. So for me this week, that is my focus. Once again, we've been talking a lot about habits and taking action. I'm really honing in on consistency, mainly because Theo has really amplified the need to have a consistent rhythm in my life and a routine, but also because I want to get back into this fitness era of my life, and it is going to require a lot of doing, and that's just what I try to keep working through. Any resistance that I'm having, anytime that I'm thinking like, oh, I'll push it off, or I won't do it, I try and get out of my own way and do all of this negotiating. Nope. Doing is just the most important thing, and it doesn't matter actually how I'm feeling, which is not the same as suppressing our emotions when we're talking about something that's deep. We're all about feeling our feelings, but at the end of the day, a lot of the action that we need to be taking, it's irrelevant about how we feel. Realistically, we just gotta do, and everything else follows that. So with that said, listen, let's just show baby Theo, why don't we? And he would say to start taking that action. Right, Theo? Guys, look at how big he's getting. He is truly turning into a Italian Greyhound. And when you have something like this cute, innocent little pup, you have to do a lot of doing instead of thinking or wasting time, essentially. So having some sort of accountability could be great as well for you. I'm not saying get a dog in order to live your dream life, but I do think, having friends or sharing your goals with people who you trust, right? Or surrounding yourself with people who are doing, instead of talking about things is going to be very helpful. But if you are going to be watching people online or you're going to be reading that book, actually do the things that it tells you to do, or do the work in the course, and don't start another module until you've actually taken that action, or you've practiced, or you're in school and you're studying something and you're doing all the theory and you're doing all the reading and the writing, but you're not actually implementing it in whatever way you need to. Like, go out and do that. And taking action is going to amplify and honestly like quantum leap you into your dream life way more than you thinking or reading a bunch of books. Half the time that information goes in one ear and out the other. You think that that's you're taking action by doing that, and you're really not. You know what I mean? Like, when you take that action, I swear it quantum leaps you more than anything else. So do your best to be a doer and not a dreamer. You deserve that. You can do that. And this is the time. I feel like this is the time week after week to really get aware of the habits that you are currently in, the identity that you're currently in, and focus on that one thing and drive it home until you become that new version of you. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't believe We are going into the second week of March. Like, wow, time's gonna fly. I already know. April's gonna be here in no time, and I see nothing but good for us. I see nothing but doers and action takers and transformation and good energy and changes in our body and our health and our money and our success, all of that. But it ain't going to happen unless what? We do. So let's go do that. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.